think it's fairly safe to say that Phil hasn't played his best since moving to LIV. Yes, he's banked loads of cash, but that isn't really what he wants to go out for. I think he's really trying his best to play better now. So in this video, we're going to talk about what might be causing his issues in his swing, what he might want to do to try and fix it, and then what I've seen him working on recently that I think is going to allow him to play better this year.
Before we get to the video, if you're new here, if you could please hit that subscribe button. I release new videos like this every single week that will help you improve your game. Right, let's get to it.
So this is actually quite an exciting time, I think, for Phil, having just agreed to do a YouTube series with Grant Horvat, and this is an opportunity for him to have a little bit of a reset and try and get his game in order so that he can go get lots of eyes on his game, get lots of eyes on his YouTube, and actually sort of prove himself to be one of the greatest of all time, which he is. But looking at these swings, we start with this setup. So I've got Phil hitting driver here, which is sort of arguably being the worst club in his bag. So just starting with Phil's grip, he's actually got an extremely weak top hand, which is generally going to mean open club face. Now what we have to remember with Phil is he has an amazing, if not greatest of all time, short game. So there's probably going to be some trade-offs in here which work for his short game but don't really work for his driving. And this weak top hand is definitely one of those things. So what that's going to result in is generally an open club face, providing he's got a neutral wrist condition, which is sort of generally what we see. Other than that, his setup's pretty good. Ball position's quite a long way forward here, but that might just be the camera angle. And posture's pretty good. Phil's done a pretty good job in his career of avoiding injuries, and that is generally because he's never been like super fit. I would say he swings very long. It's sort of very wristy, very soft in his arms and his body, and again, those things might result in sort of poor drives, but also result in sort of injury-free career. So that's probably a good thing. So his posture's good, his balance points are sort of all there, and apart from the weak grip, there's nothing really to note here. It's very, very good. So as we start to now move the club away, Phil makes an enormous move off the ball. In his backswing, he makes a big old turn. He's really turned his hips, and interestingly, you can see his front heel off the ground here. This is just to give him a little bit more range of motion, to help him swing a bit longer, probably to help him hit it a bit further. So what that does is that moves his weight very much into his back foot. Now Phil, being like a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal golfer, does a great job then of resyncing that up into the downswing. But for an amateur golfer, unless you're really, really desperate for distance and you're trying for speed, then that's probably not advisable. Like anytime your weight moves back, it has to come forwards again. And a lot of people generally don't do a great job of getting it forwards enough in the downswing to avoid slicing it. So this isn't necessarily something I would copy unless you're an older player and you just need more distance. From down the line, what we're going to see as Phil takes the club away is, nice wide arms. I really like this position. Pretty much straight arms. Not really done much with his wrists by sort of first takeaway, which is good. I like the width. Now, at the top of his swing, the club does get pretty flat. And now we're starting to see that open club face. And it's at the top is really where we start to see the problems with Phil's swing, and definitely the things that have sort of cost him his driving. So this longer position isn't a problem. I quite like a long swing and actually would encourage most people to swing past parallel if they can. But the way Phil does it is he gets super narrow. So just look at the distance his club shaft is away from his shoulder. He's absolutely minuscule. He's almost hitting himself with the shaft. And this sort of angle is an issue. So that, again, it might be a great speed producer, but having a sort of wrist to shaft angle that small is going to cause serious problems. Is what we know when you swing down is you have to get that club shaft pretty much in line with your front arm. And the more angle you've got later into the downswing, the more you've got to just flick it with your hands at the bottom to get that club away. And this is really where we're seeing Phil's issues. So he starts down, shaft basically hits his shoulder. Club face is extremely open here. That wrist is actually a little bit cupped, so that's adding to the open club face. Into delivery, although like the club's sort of on a good line, that club shaft is still way too close to his arms and his shoulder. There's probably still too much lag here for him to be able to drive the ball well. If we look at some of the greatest drivers currently, like McIlroy and Scheffler, what you're going to see is loads more width into the downswing, much less angle, and that's why they're sort of able to hit the ball much straighter than Phil is. So now, as he comes into the hit, look at where that club face is pointing. Like it's pointing over here, which is insane. You know, really open, really late. You know, if the fairway is over here somewhere, Phil's club face is currently pointing over there, which again, for how much wrist angle he still has, is insane. You know, like if I saw this from an amateur golfer coming to see me for a lesson, you would fix it. You would work on trying to get more width in the downswing with a more closed face, just because there's so much club face rotation going on here. Unless you're an elite player with elite hands, you're just not going to be able to square the face up. So now this is where we sort of see the magic of Phil. You know, he swings in. Now the club face is closed. Just 2 frames later, we go from massively open to face really shut. And you can just sort of see, look how handsy he is through the ball. Look at that extreme release there. Absolutely insane. Look at that, wow. Like, you know, he's turning his right hand so hard, his left hand's actually come off the club. His club face is now more than 90 degrees different, pointing over here somewhere. So, look, now, I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying that if you were designing a swing to be a brilliant driver of the ball, it wouldn't have as much lag as this does, and it wouldn't have as much club face rotation late into the hit as this does. But again, this open face handsy action is probably the reason why Phil is the best short game player ever to live. Because good hands, open face, loads of spin, all those things are perfect for short game, perfect for wedge play, great for your creativity around the green, but not great for trying to hit driver well. So what I've seen Phil working on is making a shorter, wider swing, and then trying to cast the club away from him earlier in the downswing. So at this position here, Phil's currently at this angle where you'd more want his club shaft is over here somewhere. You know, 90 degrees, no more than 90. If we look at, so if you look at McIlroy here, club shaft is much more there, which is wider. It's nowhere near as closed. McIlroy from down the line has a much, club face isn't as half as open as Phil's is. It's not, and the club face is very much square before he hits it, where obviously we've got Phil is very much open before he hits it. Club face is very late in squaring up. And I think this is what Phil's been working on. You know, he said in a recent video that he's really been working on his game. He's trying to sort his driving out. And actually he thinks he can play as well as he did in his 30s, in his 50s, which is great. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him as like one of the greatest players of all time. Playing in these YouTube series, there's going to be millions and millions of people watching these videos, which is way more than what watch LIV, way more that watches majors and PGA Tour events. So, you know, there's a bit of pressure on him to have for his game to be there, because it's just not been there the last 2 years. But I think from what I've seen in his swing, he's getting wider, he's getting the more stable face, and I think he's going to play well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him contend a little bit on the LIV Tour this year, and we're definitely going to see some good golf from him on YouTube. So this is a great swing. I'm sort of quite excited about where Phil's going with it. He's sort of, I think he's addressing his issues, he's sorting it out, and we're going to see the best of him yet.
Thanks very much for watching the videos. If you can please like and comment to boost the engagement, and subscribe if you don't already, that'd be great. If you like what I put out in these videos, you like what I say about technique, I can actually help you with your game no matter where you are in the world. So if you just want to click the link in the bio, it'll take you to Skillist, which is an online coaching platform, and there you can look to see what I do, and actually I can help you with your game, so analyse your swing, give you some drills and tips to help you improve, so we can work together to help you lower your handicap.